In the quiet village of Wind Hollow, where the sky turned silver at night and the meadows smelled like honey, lived a girl named Elara. Elara was not like the other children. While most played with dolls and carts, Elara collected stories like pebbles, smooth and round and full of wonder. She loved stories of stars that sang, lakes that whispered, and forests that remembered your name. But there was one story she never dared to explore, the lost forest behind her house. People said it was haunted, full of shadows and strange glowing lights. But Elara? She wasn't scared. Just curious. One night, after a long day of reading under the apple tree, Elara lay in bed listening to the wind. Talk. 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 She turned to the window. There it was. A lantern. Floating. Glowing softly with a pale golden light. It wasn't held by anyone, it simply hovered. Waiting. It blinked once, then twice. Almost like an invitation. Elara, wrapped in her favorite sky blue blanket, stepped out into the cool night. The lantern bobbed gently and began to drift toward the woods. And Elara followed. The trees of the lost forest were taller than she imagined. Their leaves shimmered silver under moonlight. The air smelled of cinnamon and stars. The lantern hovered ahead, leading her deeper. As she walked, Elara heard soft voices, not scary ones, but kind, sleepy murmurs. The trees whispered greetings. A squirrel with a monocle tipped its hat. Then she saw a sign carved into bark, "To those who wander, we welcome your wonder." The lantern led her further, gently glowing, as if it knew where her heart needed to go. Deep inside the forest, Elara met its first guardian, Professor Hoots, the scholarly owl. His feathers were dusty with old stories. Professor Hoots, every child who believes in stories is welcome here. This forest isn't lost. It's simply asleep. Then came Tilly the hedgehog, who carried a book of poems in her backpack, and Bardo the fox, who wore a velvet coat and sang lullabies to the wind. They became her companions. Each step brought a new part of the forest to life, trees that danced, mushrooms that hummed, rivers that showed your reflection as your best self, and the lantern glowed brighter. Eventually, they reached the center of the forest. There stood the heart tree, its bark pale blue, its leaves translucent. At its base bloomed a single crystal flower. Tilly whispered, "That's the dream bloom. It once lit up the skies with forest magic. But now, it's fading." Bardo added, "It sleeps because people stopped believing in bedtime stories. They closed their eyes, but forgot to dream." Elara knelt beside the flower. She gently touched its petals and whispered her favorite story from her village, the one her grandma used to tell. The crystal shimmered, then flickered, then glowed. The lantern began to spin gently. Lights burst from the dream bloom and traveled through the forest like fireflies, waking everything. The trees glowed from the inside. Streams sparkled like stars. And creatures, big and small, stepped out, yawning and stretching. Elara saw a dragon napping in the sky. A talking teacup giggling on a rock. A bear painting dreams with his paws. The forest, no longer lost, had awakened. "Professor Hoots, you've done something magical, child. You've remembered, a promise to return." The lantern hovered beside Elara again. It was time to go home. Each step back through the forest was filled with soft music and glowing lights. The friend she made waved her off. Bardo howled a soft lullaby as the moon dipped lower in the sky. As they reached the forest's edge, Elara turned back. The sign now glowed brighter. To those who dream, we remember you. She climbed back into bed just as the sun peeked over the hills. The lantern returns. Back in Wind Hollow, Elara's dreams were filled with singing mushrooms, glowing rivers, and friendly foxes. The lantern now visited her every night, floating above her window, always waiting with a new story. Sometimes, it brought friends too, children from other villages who began to dream again. Narrator, softly, and so the lost forest wasn't lost anymore. Because a girl named Elara believed. Because a story was whispered. Because a lantern led the way. Sleep now, dreamer. The lantern glows gently outside your window too. Who knows, maybe tonight, it'll knock. And you'll follow. Into your very own forest of wonders. Good night. Crescent moon sparkles sleeping symbol.